Hi Shivani, welcome to GHRC Know Your Member Talk Show. Guys, today we are delighted to host Shivani Mansingh, Executive and Leadership Coach, ICF-PCC, Mentor Coach, and the founder of Made for More. With over 1,500 hours of coaching, Shivani supports high potential professionals and conscious leaders in pausing, reflecting, and leading with authenticity. Her work blends deep inner exploration with practical and transformative action. Once again, welcome Shivani.
Thank you. Thank you, Shrinidhi.
Yeah, let's begin our conversation. Your philosophy, Made for More, encourages people to redefine who they are and what they are capable of. My question is, what inspired the creation of Made for More, and when did you realize this was your path?
Right. So I think Made for More happened for me before even, I chose this career and my work. I had reached a stage in my career where everything was looking right on paper, right? There I had like really good roles. I was getting really good money. I was also getting a lot of opportunities, recognition. Everything was right, but something did not connect, and I couldn't place my finger on what is not right. There was this hollow feeling, and it was the first time I felt it. I remember I was standing on stage and receiving my valedictorian or best outgoing student of my college award, and I was looking over like 1,200 people, and I was like, I was not happy completely. Like something inside me just felt empty, And then the second time I felt that was when I was in my about a year and a half after I'd started my career. And I felt that way one evening when I came home and I was wondering, what am I really doing? Like, is this it? Is this what my life's going to be for? Like, and where am I going? There was this itch. And I think the way I described it for the next few years, about 4 or 5 years after that, I just kept telling people, I just feel that I'm made for more and there is more in me. There is more in like people around me. Something was not right. And I couldn't really articulate it. So people would say, hey, nothing, just go ahead and don't think too much about it. And I kept doing a lot of assessments online. I went to a lot of career counselors. I talked to mentors. I spoke, a lot of things I kept doing. I kept trying. However, everybody was telling me, okay, you tell us what do you want to do? We'll help you with the how. How will you get there? Or how do you want to do this? We can help you with that. But the question, what is it that I want to do, was something I was not able to answer until I discovered the space of coaching, right? And one of my coaches, who was also part of my team at that point in time, I reached out to him after the thing was over and asked him if he could help in some way, and he became my coach. And over the next 6 months, I discovered what was for myself through the process of coaching, through the process of self discovery. And I think that journey of figuring out what was my journey to figure out what I was made for beyond what I was, already experiencing. So it's essentially for people like me. I created this program for people who are like me, who are very successful. I've realized that they're also highly, a lot of high achievers and are successful from the societal or the acceptable terms of success, but feel empty and hollow within and want to explore and have that what do you say, maybe they're in in a place where they're like, okay, now we want to explore this feeling that I'm having about what is this. So that's where it comes from, and that's who it is for anybody who's wondering what success to me really means, and has this internal feeling that maybe there's more to me than where I am or what I've already achieved. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. It sets a powerful foundation for understanding your mission. Okay, you have coached individual who often stands at life crossroads asking themselves, is this it?
Hmm.
So, what are the early signs that someone is at this crossroads even before they admit it to themselves?
Hmm. Wow, that's interesting because a lot of us stand at these crossroads very often, but the admission of it only comes when things get very, very bad. Because in general, we're taught, or rather, our environment or social settings are such that if things are working, why are you even questioning it? Like for me, right? Like why is there even a need for change? Things are working, just hang around for a few years, things will get better. Those are kind of responses that you get. So there is initially it's very subtle. It's like a discomfort, maybe. It could be dissatisfaction of some sort, something you're not really able to place, and we do ignore it. Like it's something that creeps up to us. It's also quite like a restlessness. It's not complete unhappiness because you did work very hard to get where you are, but there is something really needs to shift. It's like there's overthinking, there's like under motivation, there's like a strange loss of excitement. Something that I worked really hard for is finally here, but I'm not as excited as I hope to be for it, right? Like that's one sign that I've kind of seen. And it's also for the goals. Sometimes the goals that mattered to me for like a few years ago, which I worked really hard for, no longer feel that way. So I think these are some early signs of being at the crossroads that I help my clients explore. There's also there's also some things like they say that I think I should be doing something differently. I'm not sure. I don't feel like myself anymore. I should be grateful for everything that I have, but something's kind of amiss. They're also looking at not just their work but themselves in a or on a different level. So I work through an ontological lens, so it's mostly about the way of being and not just what you're doing. So they start wondering, asking these questions of what am I here to really do, who I really am. Is my work my whole existence, or those kind of questions. When they start coming, is when somebody's kind of like looking to shift, looking to maybe have this conversation of made for more.
Yeah, that's insightful and definitely something many professionals will resonate with, right? Okay. Your ontological approach blends introspection with real world action. My next question is, how do you balance deep reflection with helping clients achieve tangible outcomes?
Hmm. Right. So, this is often a question that is asked in coaching, that what is the ROI, or what is the result that I will begin to see? And it's very, very different for different people. And usually, a lot of times, the changes for transformational coaching, the kind of work that I do, is very internal. You'll see a difference in the person rather than in the outer world immediately, right? The change is slower. So I work in two spaces. One is the internal shift, and one is, of course, the outer shift. So the deep reflection helps client understand who they're being in their belief systems, their patterns, their stories, their emotions, and only becomes powerful when they translate it into aligned action. So I think in my coaching, I definitely focus on the awareness aspect, the insight aspect, where they get to know who they are and what are the different patterns that is either enabling them or coming in their way. But nothing will happen, or the actual change will not happen, unless there is application or integration of this. And I think we spend a lot of time in understanding what does this look like in their world, because the way I apply something in my world versus where my client will apply it in their world will look very different. So designing those actions is also an exploration journey. There is no prescription around that. So I help with or I should say, I try to help my clients with figuring out those actions, keeping them accountable for it in ways that we have pre-agreed on, and so that that actual shift is visible to people. It's more like there's an insight that comes in, they make a choice that I want to shift, they take the action, then we reflect on the action, whether it's working, not working, whether it's the right thing for them, how are they feeling. It's because we talk about deep inner alignment. Is that really happening? And then of course, growth. So they run experiments, they try different things, they explore, and then see what's working for them.
Yeah, beautiful. It is inspiring to see how you help people move from awareness to action. So, you often talk about leading with intention rather than habit or pressure. In today's workplace, what does international leadership look like, and where can leaders start?
Hmm. So intentional leadership, it's for me, it's about leading with choice and not by default. I think that's the differentiate. That's how I look at it personally. Nowadays, with as we know, we're currently in a very chaotic world where things are shifting at a very very fast rate, with new technology coming in, with the demands being very different, new industries emerging, some industries having um, they don't know, they have a lot of uncertainty, things that are happening, or our leaders, or rather we all kind of get pulled into that kind of a speed and reaction, and trying to manage it rather than leading from where we are. That grounding is something I feel sometimes is lost in trying to manage the chaos, and finding that grounding is really important, in my perspective. And I think asking questions or even pausing, for example, I think a lot of my coaching sessions with leaders specifically are about pausing and reflecting, because we are so much in execution mode all the time, so much in like, okay, this is happening, that is happening, they're firefighting a lot, they're strategizing. There's no time for them to pause and even think about, okay, this happened, did it work, did it not work, what worked in it, what didn't work. So just and then who are they being in that situation? Are they, whoever that being is in that place, is that who they really want to be? That's another question, right? And what does that situation really want from them? Sometimes during these high pressure situations, the outcome is great, but how we got to the outcome is something we need to reflect on. But because since everything is moving so quickly, we don't do that. And I think intentional leadership is about being able to take that pause and ask these questions of ourselves, and and course correct and align with our inner selves. So finding that footing or grounding is what I'd say this is. Yeah.
Yeah, such an important reminder for leaders at every level. Thank you for that. You work with both early career professionals and seasoned leaders. At your core message stay consistent. And my question is, how does your coaching approach shift between someone just starting out and someone already leading with teams?
Hmm. I think the core stays the same, because it is about being curious about who they want to be, awareness. It's about creating those choices, being intentional. The context in which it is applied is different, because I also work with a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of high achievers, and they are in different places. They are in creative fields, they're in multinational organizations where the context is very different. So these people, more or less, the approach to access is pretty much similar, but the context that they apply it in is very different, right? Early professionals are building identity, they're understanding clarity, confidence, they're trying to understand how do I communicate more confidently. They need structure, they need more space to articulate who they want to become. It's more of a discovery process rather than a refining process, right? For senior leaders who have experience and influence, the work that I do is a lot of it is on unlearning, because we've learned a lot of things in our journey, and they some of them are no longer serving us. So it's more about that. It's about creating that presence, being more dynamic, creating more intentional around who they want to be, or what kind of a leader they want to show up as. So the depth is kind of the depth that they each leader wants to go in at each stage is very different. The pace will be different, and focus areas sometimes will change, but the heart will remain the same in terms of where are they grounding, who are they being, and who do they want to become, rather, where do they want to go from here, what does that journey look like. I think doesn't differ from, no two journeys are same, because no two people are similar, because they come with such diverse perspectives, worldviews, value systems, lived experiences, and where they're going, is also very different. So yeah.
Yeah, that was a great perspective. It shows how universal and adaptable your work truly is. Now, millennials and Gen Z deeply relate to your idea of finding their vision of more. What shift you have noticed in how younger professionals define success and fulfillment today?
Hmm. I love working with Gen Zs and millennials, because they are asking this question very early on in their lives. And I think it's in part of the lives that we have lived, right? There is a lot more, I would say, privilege, and I use the word very consciously because we do have the privilege to pause, take a break, or even like not bother about basic survival and ask these questions, which a lot of the newer generation is able to do, right? And early success to them, earlier the success meant get a good job, get a house, get a car, have job security. Those are the kind of goals that people would set. But today, I think I've seen a shift in the way or what people are seeking. The newer people who are coming into the workforce, they're seeking more autonomy, they're seeking more meaningful work, they're seeking alignment and values. They're talking about growth, and they're talking more about mental health. There's also a flip side to it. There's a lot more anxiety and other things, but uh, their needs, perhaps I would say, are slightly different, and the way they work is also different. So the way I work with them, the conversations I have with them are very different. Again, like the scripts that, like I was saying in the previous question, our lived experiences, our value systems, or whatever we are bringing into the space define how our journey, like what kind of conversations we have, and how we want to pursue the journey ahead. So I think that's how I see this. Did I answer that question fully, or is there something amiss there?
I think it's clear for that question. Offer a lot of clarity on how workplace and leaders need to evolve. Thank you for that answer. My next question is, your chemistry session gives people space to explore if coaching is the right step for them. What do you think look for in these first conversation to understand whether coaching will genuinely support someone?
Hmm. So when we get on a chemistry session, I think it's a great space for people to understand if coaching is for them. It's about understanding what coaching really is, because I think there's a lot of misconception around what coaching can do for somebody. And I think the chemistry session is a right place for both of us, like the coach and the coachee, to understand if there is enough chemistry. That's why it's called chemistry. Can you be completely open with this person? Do you feel safe? Psychological safety and trust are big foundations of this work that we do, because there is a lot of openness needed, curiosity needed. Sometimes you kind of have to be uncomfortable in this space. There is need for vulnerability. So can both of us hold that space? For like, or do we trust that space that we create together? So I think that is what I use the chemistry sessions for, to check for readiness, understanding where it's going. The coachee can come in and ask questions that they had, because coaching is not as much spoken about in the non C-suite areas of our world. Coaching is well known in that space, and there also it's more about mentoring, more about, it's a mix. It's not the coaching in the ICF way, rather, I should say. But in a general conversation, coaching doesn't come up as much. So I think it's also a space for people to understand what really is, what can it bring for us. Is it really going to be helpful or not? Are they willing, are they even willing to go on this journey? Because it is a deep dive journey, right? We need to have, it's not about the other person judging us. A lot of times we ourselves hold a lot of self judgment. So are we willing to explore that together, or even face it and get through that, right? And also, another big aspect of coaching is taking our own responsibility for our own journey, right? The coach is not responsible for outcomes. So if I'm a coachee, am I really willing to put in the work that will be needed to get the results that I want? And I think that is a big question that one needs to explore and answer in that session. And I think that's something I definitely look for. Also, are we in a stage in our life where we're willing to pause and reflect and experiment and try different things? And because coaching is for everybody, but it's not for everybody at all times. So coaching is not the solution for every problem at every time. So there are certain things that need different interventions and not coaching. So understanding if this is the right time, right situation for it. And is there, like, like I said, is there trust between us? Is there ease between us? Is that openness can be created to go deeper, right? And it only works when a person is truly ready, and there isn't like forceful aspect to it, right? So I use the first conversation to, first that to have a conversation to see. And I'm not trying to sell or convince, because it doesn't work that way. I also there is no deadline that you have to sign up after this, because I don't think coaching is the right, what do you say, product, if I may use the word, to apply those strategies. I think someone should only step into coaching when they feel truly ready for it.
Yeah, that's very helpful for anyone considering coaching for the first time. Yeah. Made for More feels like a larger moment inviting people to live and lead with authenticity. What is the one common misconception about coaching that you would wish more people understand?
Ah, okay. My pet peeve actually, this is, coaching is usually considered as advice giving. And I think that's a general perception, the way coaching is even explored. I've seen a lot of these on Instagram, etc. Like when people are choosing careers, and I was also in that stage, So people are like, oh, tell us what you're good at, and we'll tell you a career that will be right fit for you. So the first thing for coaching is to be, oh, do people come to you for solving their problems? Are you somebody's agony aunt? Are you somebody who's really good at solving problems, so you should become a coach? But coaching is not that, in the sense that I work in. Is It's more, it's, yes, it's about helping people find solutions, but it's not about me giving solutions to the client, right? It's about helping them figure that solution out, creating that space for them, enabling them in that sense. And I think that is one of the biggest misconceptions in the world of coaching, which is, I'm not sure, like, it's also there at different levels, like, um there is, like, we actually, coaching is, in theory, I should say, or the way I understand it, doesn't need subject matter expertise in what the client is bringing. But if you see, the reality is very different. When we go to organizations looking, when organizations are looking for coaches, they do look for industry experience. They look for, those things. And yes, they may help, but I think they also bring in a lot of bias into the picture. Maybe what that coachee needs, and maybe it helps them. I'm not saying it doesn't help, but maybe having somebody who's not from the industry may ask some questions that would help open up something new in a different for the client. So I feel the one misconception that I hope everybody understands is coaching is not about advising, it's about holding space and helping you explore your own world more deeply. So, yeah.
Yeah, much needed clarity. Thank you for breaking that down so well.
Thank you.
So, well, I'm done with my question. Before we wrap up, is there anything else you would like to share that I might have missed?
Oh, no, your questions were great. I think they asked a lot about my work, what I do. I think something that I wish more people explore is try out coaching. It's a very powerful modality. I know it is very expensive because a lot of people, that is one of the biggest things. It's why is it so expensive? Therapy is not so expensive. I get it. But I really invite people to experience coaching once before you what do you say, put it away and think that it doesn't work. Work with good coaches, see if it expands your perspective of who you are. That's basically one of the things that you can always take to a coach. And if what I said and how I work resonated with people, I'd invite them to reach out to me and maybe try out a coaching conversation and see if that's something that they'd like to add to their future support systems.
Sure, sure. Thank you so much, Shivani, for sharing your journey, your wisdom, and the heart behind Made for More. Your work continues to inspire many steps into a more aligned, authentic, and international version of themselves. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you so much, Shridev. It was lovely having this conversation with you and look forward for more.
Okay, thank you.